All right, let's talk about one of the biggest paradoxes in business. You know how your greatest strength can sometimes become your biggest weakness? Well, for an entrepreneur, that's not just a cliche, it's a critical stage of growth. The very things that made you a startup hero can be the exact things that stop you from becoming a strategic leader. Let's get into it. Benjamin Franklin really hit the nail on the head here. If you're a founder, you feel this in your bones. Growth isn't just some metric on a spreadsheet, it's the lifeblood of your company. It's the proof that your late nights, your risks, your big idea, it's all actually working. And here's the twist. You did it. You succeeded. You're growing like crazy. But suddenly, that amazing growth starts to feel less like a party and more like a crisis. The scrappy way you did things with a team of 5 is now completely falling apart with a team of 50. This is where the real work begins. Which brings us to our first big idea, the success paradox. We're going to break down how that hustle, that hands-on, do-everything-yourself approach that got your business off the ground can actually start to be the anchor that's holding you back. Look, just about every founder, every successful company at some point runs smack into this thing. It's called the growth wall. And it feels exactly like it sounds, like you're driving 100 miles an hour and just slam into a solid brick wall. So what is this wall really? It's that moment when your own success creates so much complexity, more people, more customers, more processes, that the old informal way of doing things just can't handle it anymore. The very success you built is now the thing that's blocking your path forward. And why do we hit it? Well, it almost always comes down to a lack of formal strategic planning. And hey, the reasons are completely understandable, right? You're thinking, I don't have time for that, or I don't even know where to start. Maybe you're not ready to let others in on your baby, or you think it's going to cost a fortune. But here's the hard truth. Not planning is way, way more costly in the end. Okay, so you're staring at this giant wall. How do you get past it? Here's the secret. You don't climb over it. You build a bridge. And that bridge, my friends, is called strategy. So let's get into the blueprint for building it. Now hold on, when I say strategic planning, please don't picture some dusty 100-page binder that's just going to sit on a shelf. Think of it more like a living, breathing map for the future. It's about taking an honest look at the entire landscape, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then charting a clear path to get where you want to go. And the process itself isn't magic. It's actually a pretty logical 5-step loop. You look around and analyze your situation, you cook up a strategy. You actually do it. You measure the results. And then, this is the most important part, you take what you learned and you start the cycle all over again. It's a constant process, not a one-and-done event. But, and this is a huge but, just having a plan is not enough. It's incredibly easy to fall into some classic traps along the way. The legendary strategist Michael Porter called these fatal visions, and they can absolutely sink your company if you're not careful. Let's walk through them. All right, fatal vision number 1, misunderstanding what actually makes an industry attractive. It's human nature to chase the shiny object, right? The fast-growing, high-tech, glamorous fields. But the real measure of an attractive industry isn't glamour, it's high barriers to entry. Think of it like a castle with a really deep moat. How hard is it for someone else to build a competing castle? If anyone can do it easily, you're just going to compete on price forever. Fatal vision number 2, having no real competitive advantage. It feels safe to just copy what a successful competitor is doing, but that's a trap. If you're just a Me Too business, the only weapon you have is a lower price. And that's a race to the bottom that nobody wins. You have to be able to answer the question, why should a customer choose us over everyone else? Number 3 is a bit more subtle. Pursuing a competitive position that you can't actually defend. So you have a fantastic product, great, but is it defensible? A brilliant piece of code can be copied. A cool gadget can be reverse engineered. Your real long-term advantage, your true moat, often isn't the thing you sell. It's the ecosystem around it. Your brand, your incredible customer service, the community you've built. That's the stuff that's almost impossible to imitate. Oh man, number 4 is a dangerous one. And it's a trap that success sets for you. Compromising your strategy just to grow faster. When you're doing well, opportunities fly at you from every direction. It is so tempting to say yes to everything, but if chasing a new market or a new product pulls you away from what made you great in the first place, you risk becoming nothing to everyone. You can literally grow your company right into the ground. And the final vision, and maybe the most common of them all,
is simply failing to communicate the strategy. It's all perfectly clear in your head, so you just assume everyone on your team gets it. Well, they don't. Your strategy can't be a secret. Every single person in your company is making dozens of choices every day. If they don't know where the ship is headed, how can they possibly help you steer it in the right direction?
So, getting past these strategic hurdles, it takes more than a good business plan. It takes a personal transformation. And this brings us to what might be the hardest part of all, the founder's identity crisis. It's the painful but necessary shift from being the primary doer to becoming a true leader.
This chart really nails the mindset shift. Early on, you're all about spotting opportunities and moving fast. You're revolutionary, you're informal, you're renting or borrowing what you need. But as you scale, the focus has to change. It becomes about managing the resources you now control, thinking in longer, more evolutionary terms, and building a more formal structure to make it all work. And what happens if you can't make that shift? Well, you get this, the one-person band syndrome, the founder who just can't let go, who has to approve every little thing, who fails to delegate. You go from being the engine of your company to being its single biggest bottleneck. Letting go doesn't mean giving up control. It means building a system, an engine that can run and thrive without you micromanaging every little part. So how do you scale your culture so that it keeps innovating all on its own? The ultimate goal, the holy grail, is to create what's called an entrepreneurial firm. This is a company that somehow keeps that innovative, adaptable, scrappy spirit of a startup, but combines it with the power and resources of a much larger organization. It's the best of both worlds. So, how do you build it? Well, it starts by getting that vision out of your head and making sure everyone shares it. You have to give people room to spot their own opportunities. You have to reward innovation. And maybe the most important and hardest thing, you have to create a culture where it's safe to try big things, and sometimes fail. Because without failure, there's no real innovation. This idea, really drawn from the principles of people like Steve Jobs, says it all. People don't just want a paycheck. They want to be a part of something that matters. When you can connect their day-to-day work to a bigger dream, a meaningful mission, you unlock a level of passion and performance that money just can't buy. So when you boil it all down, it's this simple. Your company's potential is a direct reflection of your own personal growth. As you evolve from that hands-on entrepreneur to a strategic manager and finally to an inspiring leader, you unlock completely new levels of potential for your entire company. So let's say you do it. You build the bridge over the growth wall. You navigate that tough identity crisis. You create an engine for innovation. With all of that in place, there's really only one question left to answer, and it's the one that truly matters. What dent are you going to put in the universe?